Welcome back. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about the collapsing Detroit Lions. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games, are missing the playoffs for the first time since 2022. Has their playoff window shut? What caused this disaster of a season for Dan Campbell and his Lions? Let's go! After 2 impactful coaching losses last season, with Aaron Glenn going to Detroit and Ben Johnson finding his way to the in-division rival Chicago Bears, it started off, Dan Campbell, you got to make some right decisions. You guys have to hit on these play callers, you'd say. And that is where it all started. This starts with the injuries. They have been a completely injury-prone team this season. They've had inconsistent play calling. They've changed coordinators on both sides of the ball so far this year. Actually, not on defense. But the defense has been an absolute joke. These past couple weeks, they've been getting cooked. Losing Aaron Glenn, we expected a step down, right? Obviously, it's a great defensive mind. But that's the thing. The defense has been average all year. The pass rush has got improved, that's for sure. But they have been the health to the important key positions to this team, which has forced them over the past 5 games during this struggling streak. They're allowing 31.6 points per game, 450 yards over the past 5 weeks, with 3 of these games being in front of yourself, the Detroit Lion fans. How depressing is that, watching your team just get carved up and down the field? It is not fun, that's for sure. People would say, oh, it's because they run the most man coverage. Well, that's the thing. Running man coverage is not bad unless you don't have the capabilities to run man like the Detroit Lions. Injuries have affected their effectiveness when they run man. Brian Branch, out for the season, all pro level. Terrion Arnold, all rookie, out for the season. We have safety Kirby Joseph, all pro, out for the season. You cannot, those are 3 players in the secondary, a corner 1 and your 2 safeties who are moving all across the field, your communicators. That is horrible. I couldn't imagine play calling without those 3 guys. At least you have Aiden Hutchinson there to give you a pass rush. They've only held 3 teams under 20 points this season. They've just been horrible on the defensive side of the ball. They've had effect from key players. It's just the key players missing have been horrible for this team. And they've made 0 adjustments for having missing impact players. They haven't. They're missing everybody. Sam Laporte is out. Like I said, Brian Branch, Terrion Arnold, Brock Wright, backup tight ends out. They are missing key players in key positions. Aiden Hutchinson, coming off his horrible knee injury, has been kicking butt down the stretch. He has been the main contributor on the defense doing anything. He's up to 87 pressures. He's a dog. Jack Campbell has been good. Awesome to run defender. He's just an elite linebacker. Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson, dogs. The interior defensive line has been spotty, you could say. Ali McNeil has taken a big step down. Tyleek Williams, the rookie, has looked good in his limited playing time. They still have him in the doghouse. He is more of a run-stopping defender, so he doesn't pop off on tape as much. He's slowly starting to play more, and he actually got his first sack against the Vikings. The biggest surprise on defense, by far, though, which exactly, they got a contributor when they didn't expect it. Al-Quadin Muhammad, out of nowhere, age 30, breakout season. Hasn't had 5 or more sacks, unless 1 out of 7 seasons. This year, he has 11 sacks. He is a strict pass rusher, playing no more than around 40% snaps. He has 49 pressures, top 25 in the league. He's about to get paid somewhere. That's what I'm saying. You have pieces like him come out of nowhere. Just imagine if this team was healthy on defense. I think they're a lot better team. And aside from the Vikings game, the defense has killed any chances of them winning these games down the stretch. You cannot win scoring 40 points every game. You can't. It's impossible. When it comes to the offensive side of the ball, we all were scared of what it would look like without Ben Johnson. And in midseason, they flipped the script and Dan Campbell took over play calling. And they haven't been this elite. Yes, they're scoring a lot of points. But it's not this dominant, break you down offense that we're seeing with the Bears. That we've seen in the past with the Lions where they just beat you up, score. Like it looks. Look on paper. They're top 5 in points, top 5 in yards, top 5 in yards per play. It looks amazing. But then you find the cracks, or they're so vague in what their keys to success were in the past. The rush game. It's almost non-existent in some games. They fall behind the sticks every single drive. It's more of these 3rd and 7s, 3rd and 6s compared to what we've seen in the past with 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, more manageable downs. They don't get the manageable downs. They don't. Their time of possession was top 5 last year. This year it's bottom 5. That's a huge difference. Just a minute and 30 difference, but that is huge in the NFL. They're completely forced into a pass funneling team, as you've seen with Jared Goff throwing the ball almost 40 times a game. When you can't get more than 2.5 yards per carry some games, what else can you do besides pass the ball? They're forcing them to use their gadget plays, more screens. They're forcing them to think more. When you can't run the ball, it makes everything so much more difficult. And another key factor, like I said, the injuries. I'm going to keep repeating myself with the injuries. They missed their number 1 and number 2 tight end. Guess what? They run probably 20 to 30%, 12 personnel. Yeah, you're missing your 2 tight ends, your key blocking one and your receiving. You're cooked. You can't run 12 personnel as effective or less as much as you want to. Their offensive line entering the season, they lost key pieces. They filled them with 2 rookies, you could say. Glasgow is an average center. Ratley, Mahogany have been fine, but they didn't fix the key issues with their offensive line. Decker's been dealing with a shoulder injury. Losing Ragnow and Zeiler has been detrimental to the offensive line. They lost their leader in the middle. It's horrible. They've allowed the 6th most sacks in the NFL this season. And I'm going to keep saying the clear death of every piece of this team is injuries. And we got to remember, they were able to survive last year with injuries. So why is that? Jared Goff is still top 10 in EPA. I think Jared Goff has been pretty good. The offensive line has taken a step back, and that's why he is not looking as good under pressure, because he's under pressure more often. And his mobility in the pocket makes him look so bad. He's a brick in the pocket. He's got less mobility than Peyton Manning, it looks like sometimes. He is bad. Jahmyr Gibbs in the running game, like I said earlier, inconsistent. You see him running for 7 yards per carry, 8 yards per carry. Then there's games where he's barely able to get 2 yards per carry, 3 yards per carry. It's either a big game or nothing. Literally nothing. Monty has dropped in touches this year a little bit. He's still been efficient. Just losing touches because they can't run the ball efficiently. Why would you run the ball if you can't? There's no point. It's like the Raiders running it over and over and over. Some games it won't work, some it will. They're not getting the consistent blocks they need to be the dynamic duo they usually are. Sonic and Knuckles is very hurt by this blocking from the offensive line. And like I said, the failure to run the ball just relates to Jared Goff. He cannot be the man of the offense. We know Jared Goff. He has to be a game manager, and he's been good in that role. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's been good dealing with nagging injuries here and there. He's had some key drops in key situations. Watch it below. Jamison Williams, he's been showing up a lot more consistently at the end of the year, but in the beginning of the year, where was he? He was ghost. He was here, ghost. The consistencies didn't show up until later in the year, which, J-Mo, he's a beast. Keep feeding the man the ball. That's where I relate to with this offense. It reminds me of the Kansas City Chiefs, where they struggle in key plays, key downs, game-changing plays. This 4th down, it's lost them a lot of games. They've been bad on 3rd and 4th down. 38% on 3rd, 58% on 4th. Good for 19th and 17th in the NFL. They're an average team in that stat, which that makes your offense look so much more bad when you see the face stats of a top 5 offense. You look at the conversion rate and you're like, oh, okay. That's why they don't consistently put up points, even though their average is high. They also have the most turnovers in the NFL. The offense is doing as much as they can with how little they have with the offensive line. The defense forcing them to put up so many points. They're always trailing from behind, it seems like. It has not been a fun watch for Detroit Lions fans. I know that for a fact. When you look at the Lions' main issues, you look at the coaching changes, the offensive line changes, leaders leaving the facility. You really look at the GM. What did the general manager do to help out the coaching staff, to help out all these leaving pieces with him to improve what the coaches could work with? Ratledge, guard, he's been all right. He's replaceable. Terrion Arnold, he's been good, but he's hurt. Maganoy, another guard who's replaceable, he could get better. They've not hit on enough picks. Hooker and Martin, they trade a lot of capital for projects, and it's not worked out. Isaac Tesla, you've seen what he's been able to show on the field. Why aren't we seeing it more? Why did you guys invest so much in a receiver when you knew you were going to pay Jamison Williams that much more money? You lost a third rounder for next year. There's holes on this roster, and when you give up those picks as kind of, oh yeah, we get to dish off this pick, we're so good. It hurts when you look at your team after injuries and there are gaps everywhere on the defensive side of the ball, in the secondary, on the defensive line. It's horrible. It can't. That's what we saw last year. The coaching was able to cover for all these injuries they had on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball. This year, that coaching has left the building. Ben Johnson's doing his thing in Chicago. Glenn, we'll talk about him later. I've already talked about him. But that's the thing. There was a lot of movement, and that has really hurt this Lions team. Injuries, coaching changes. No consistency was there this year. I do believe the Lions will be back. They should be fine. They'll figure it out. And I'll catch y'all boys tomorrow.